The story continues with Luo Feng advancing into the third stage of his mission. Babata, his ever-reliable companion, begins to explain the details of this next task, a mission still deeply entwined with the Blood Shadow Empire. But this time, Luo Feng is not dealing with the Blood Shadow Emperor himself. Instead, his mission involves those who serve beneath him. Babata reveals that many of the Emperor's subordinates have violated the strict laws set by the Virtual Universe Company, while the Emperor himself remains untainted by wrongdoing. His followers have been caught red-handed. The company has detected these breaches, and now demands justice. Under pressure, the Blood Shadow Emperor agrees to cooperate. He captures and presents 21 of his own subjects, those guilty of breaking the rules. Now, Luo Feng is assigned a daunting role, not as a warrior, but as a judge. His mission: to pass judgment upon these 21 captives directly in the presence of the Blood Shadow Emperor himself. Babata expresses concern. In a courtroom where one wrong word could offend a galactic sovereign, a single unfavorable verdict could spark perilous consequences. But Luo Feng remains undaunted. Without fear, he accepts the mission. With unwavering determination, he begins analyzing the data, delving into the histories, the crimes, and the motivations of each of the 21 accused. The stage is set. Justice must be served, and Luo Feng will be the one to deliver it. Luo Feng has finally arrived at the outer reaches of the Blood Shadow Emperor's domain. There, he is greeted by a figure named Vaik, an emissary of the Empire. With a polished smile and carefully chosen words, Vaik offers to escort Luo Feng to the heart of their realm. But as they journey together, it becomes clear. Vaik isn't just a guide. Through subtle flattery and feigned camaraderie, he attempts to warm Luo Feng's heart, hoping to soften the judgment that may soon fall upon the Empire. Yet Luo Feng remains vigilant. He knows exactly why he's here, and sentiment has no place in justice. Soon, the landscape changes. They reach the Blood Shadow Empire's core. Towering fortresses, endless legions, a suffocating aura of power and tension. As Luo Feng steps forward, he finds himself face to face with countless soldiers, eyes sharp, expressions cold. It's obvious. He is not welcome here. His presence, a disruption. His mission, a threat. But Luo Feng does not flinch. With unshakable resolve, he walks into the very heart of their stronghold alone. He is not here as a guest. He is here as a judge. At last, Luo Feng comes face to face with the one behind it all, the Blood Shadow Emperor. The Emperor greets Luo Feng with a calm smile, but his words carry weight. He wastes no time pointing out their previous encounters. The first, when Luo Feng disrupted his grand trial by stealing away 100 billion potential soldiers. A theft to some, but a rescue in Luo Feng's eyes. And now, Luo Feng returns. This time, not as an adversary in battle, but as a judge summoned to deliver justice within the very empire he once challenged. Yet despite it all, the Emperor shows no hostility. He knows well who Luo Feng represents. A messenger of the Virtual Universe Company, untouchable, protected by the law of the cosmos. And so, with regal composure, the Blood Shadow Emperor welcomes him into the heart of the Imperial Palace. There, a magnificent feast awaits, an opulent display of power and hospitality. Dishes crafted with the rarest delicacies, goblets filled with celestial wine, an atmosphere designed to impress. But this was no ordinary welcome. It was a strategic move. Vaik, the Emperor, the entire Empire. They sought to charm Luo Feng, to sway him, to make him falter in the name of diplomacy. But Luo Feng stands firm. Without so much as a taste, he declines the food and drink. And with unwavering resolve, he turns to the Emperor and speaks. Let us proceed with the trial. The virtual company demands justice, and I will see it through. The game of politics is over. Now, the judgment begins. Vaik could see it clearly now. Luo Feng was not someone who could be swayed. With no other options left, Vaik proceeded to present the 21 individuals, those charged with crimes against the laws of the Virtual Universe Company. As Luo Feng scanned the accused, something caught his eye. Among them were two beings of the Andiang realm, their auras distinct, their positions clearly elevated. But more than that, Luo Feng could sense it. These two shared a close bond with the Blood Shadow Emperor himself. And in that moment, the true purpose behind the Emperor's lavish hospitality and subtle persuasion became clear. It had never been about all 21. It had always been about these two. A desperate, calculated attempt to spare his favored subordinates from judgment. But Luo Feng was no fool, and certainly no puppet. With cold, unwavering authority, Luo Feng carried out the judgment of the 19 Sector Lords. All were sentenced to death. And now, only two remained. The Emperor's most trusted. The last hope. Luo Feng's eyes locked with the Emperor's as he declared the final verdict. Both shall receive the death penalty. Silence fell across the chamber, but then, without hesitation, without protest, the Blood Shadow Emperor stood tall, his gaze like stone. And with Vike at his side, he executed the judgment himself. The two Andiang realm warriors were eliminated on the spot. Though the Blood Shadow Emperor appeared composed, it was clear he was not pleased with Luo Feng's judgment. Yet, as the appointed judge under the authority of the Virtual Universe Company, Luo Feng's verdict stood absolute, and the Emperor obeyed. With restrained words, he offered Luo Feng praise, acknowledging the trial as fair and just. But beneath that veneer of respect, a quiet storm of resentment brewed. Without further ceremony, the Blood Shadow Emperor dismissed him. Leave! Luo Feng, unshaken, accepted the command. Without regret, without fear, he turned and walked away. The judgment was done. Justice had been served, and the mission complete. But there would be no rest. Soon after, Babata appeared once more, bringing forth the details of Luo Feng's next mission. And this time, it struck close to home. For his next task wasn't on a distant battlefield, nor among galactic empires. It was about his own bloodline, his own family. Babata explained that the Luo family had grown rapidly, spreading across the stars, flourishing in both number and influence. But with that growth came corruption. The system had detected troubling activity. Among his descendants, some had begun abusing their power, committing grave crimes, even taking innocent lives. Now, it was Luo Feng's duty to confront them, to judge not strangers, but his own legacy. And once again justice would demand a price, this would. And then came the blow Luo Feng never expected. Among the names listed as potential criminals from the Luo family was his father. Shock turned to fury. Luo Feng refused to believe it. This must be a mistake, he snapped. But Babata, ever cold and precise, responded with unwavering clarity. No mistake. The data is accurate. For Luo Feng, it was a moment of painful awakening. Justice was no longer distant. Now, it was personal. Without hesitation, Luo Feng gave the order. Apprehend every Luo family member listed among the guilty. There would be no favoritism, no protection, not even for blood, because justice must remain blind. And so, Luo Feng's forces swiftly moved into action. Each and every one of the accused members of the Luo family was gathered. As Luo Feng personally reviewed their cases, the truth became undeniable. Some were guilty, truly guilty. Among them, two prominent members of the Luo lineage had orchestrated ruthless acts in the name of profit, sacrificing innocent lives for the sake of business rivalry. But still, one name lingered in Luo Feng's heart like a blade. His father. No matter how many times he saw it, he couldn't accept it. How could the man who raised him be involved in such a tragedy? To uncover the truth, Luo Feng made a choice. He entered the virtual realm, the world of Nirvana. The very game his father had immersed himself in. Inside, he found him. His father's face lit up with joy, his voice warm, welcoming. After so long apart, he believed his son had come simply to play, to share a moment of escape. And in that moment, Luo Feng saw the truth. This was not the face of a killer. Not the mind of a mastermind, but that of an innocent man. Simple, naive. A father who sought only peace and comfort in a fantasy world. Yet, it was that very innocence that had been exploited. Through their conversation, Luo Feng uncovered the true source of the crime. It wasn't his father. It was the Nirvana clan, a guild unknowingly built under his father's name. And, within that clan, were wolves in sheep's clothing, using the power and reputation of Loveng to carry out vendettas. What started as a harmless game had become a mask for real-world violence. And now, Luo Feng knew what he had to do. The truth was no longer hidden, but justice still had to be served.